Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahahiryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karuti Vacharam Pangum Lankayati Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam. There is a story about a devotee. This devotee is very regular in his prayers to the Lord, to God. And this devotee is, as a result of this regular prayer, very convinced that in his time of need, God will help him. And if he's really in danger, then God will save him. And so one day it so happens that the town where this devotee lives gets flooded. There are rains and rains, and the streets slowly start filling with water. And they reach the windows, and they cover the first floor of all the buildings, and they cover the second floor of all the buildings. And the announcements are being made to the whole town to evacuate and to leave. And so slowly everybody starts gathering their belongings and exiting. But this one devotee is convinced that God will save me. And so when the first announcement comes to evacuate, he stays put. His neighbors are telling him that it's time to leave. Your house will get ruined, but at least you can save yourself. And he says, no, God will save me. The streets are filled with water, and so the first rescue boats come by. And they knock on everybody's door who's left, and they say, please come with us. We will evacuate you, we will take you to safety. And so many of the neighbors leave, many of the residents on the street who haven't already, they are taken. And this particular man says, no, God will save me. So the rescue boats have gone. And the last resort, finally to pick up any stragglers who are left, the emergency services send a helicopter. And so this helicopter comes and is circling the area, and an announcement is made on loudspeaker that anybody left in this area, please come out of your homes, come to the roofs, and we will pick you up, because after this there will be no more help. And so those who are still hopeful, who had remained in their houses, they go up to the roofs and they are picked up by the helicopter. And this one devotee, again, he is told, please come, we'll take you to safety. And he says, no, God will save me. So finally, he's the only one left. And the flood waters are still rising. So the water is coming up and up and up. And finally, the flood gets so bad that he drowns. Now, after he dies, he is fortunate enough through all his prayer and everything he's done through his life to go and to meet God. And when he meets God, he's very upset. I spent my whole life in prayer. I spent my whole life dedicated to you. Every single day, I gave time in meditation. I gave time in worship, I gave time in prayer. And when I really needed you, you abandoned me. I thought you would come to save me. So he completes his complaint, and God is patiently looking at him and listening. And finally, God says to him, when the flooding started and you received the warning that you should leave your house, who do you think sent that warning? And this devotee just looked at God. And he said, when the emergency workers first came by, who do you think sent them? When the rescue boats came by on the flooded streets to pick you up, who do you think sent them? And when the helicopter came, you ignored all my other warnings, and that helicopter came to pick you up, who do you think sent them? We spend our lives with this idea that, we come to the temple regularly and we offer our prayers. And in exchange for our prayers and in exchange for our worship, when we need it, God should lift us. God should save us. God should do our work for us. But what God wants is for us to help ourselves. We should not be like the man who ignored the emergency workers and the boats and the helicopter, finally to die and then say to God, but you were supposed to save me. The first message that comes to us in the Holy Scripture of the Bhagavad Gita is precisely this. What does Sri Krishna say to Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield when he's confused and dejected and he's refusing to fight? The message that Sri Krishna gives to him is, lift yourself by yourself. Don't wait for someone else to lift you up. Today, in the time that we have for the satsang, there are 5 verses of the Gita in which are contained the entire teaching of the 700 verses. And the first one is saying precisely this: lift yourself by yourself. So you'll all be able to see this on the screen. We will read the verse, all 5 verses, one by one, and we will see the meaning and the application of these verses to our lives. Because if we want to not only live life successfully, to find success in life, but also to find true meaning and to find happiness, the surest way to do that is to follow the advice that has been given to us in these beautiful teachings. At the end of the satsang today, you will all also receive this book, prasad. Normally when you go out of the temple after homa, after prayers, you receive prasad, right? That's the thing that everyone looks forward to the most. Easiest way to convince children to come to mandir is, you will get prasad. Forget children, adults also. If adults hear there is prasad, then they'll also come. So today you've received your prasad. You'll also receive this very special prasad, which is titled Gita Panchamrit. In this, and in today's satsang, we are seeing these 5 verses of the Gita. Here they are accompanied by the commentary of our Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji. Okay, so after the talk, you will all receive this. But first, we will see this first verse. So now you should all be able to see that on the screen. Natmanam avasadayet Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu Atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Shri Krishna says, Uddharet atmana atmanam. Lift yourself by yourself. Na atmanam avasadayet. Do not degrade yourself. Do not lower yourself. Why or how? Atmaiva hi atmanaha bandhuhu. You are your own best friend. And atma eva ripuhu atmanaha. You are your own worst enemy. The first thing that Shri Krishna tells us here is lift yourself by yourself. In order to be happy in life, in order to be successful, what is required? For us to exercise our own self-effort. If you happen to be walking somewhere and you fall down, how long will you lie on the ground? Will you keep lying there until somebody comes to pick you up? You will get up by yourself. Because if you keep waiting, you don't know how long you'll be waiting. In life, we all have the capacity to lift ourselves. Now, what does it mean for us to lift ourselves? What it means is that we all have the ability to act in life. But for most of us, our action is not driven by any particular purpose. We were told to go to school. Anybody had an option of whether to go to school or not? We would have liked an option, but nobody gave us an option. They said go to school, so we went to school. Then after school, what did they tell you? Go to college, go to university. So you all went to college, university. Then after university, what did they tell you? Get a job. So you got a job. Once you had a job, what did they tell you? Get married. So you all got married. Those who didn't follow that advice, they're the lucky ones. But they said get married, so you got married. Then after you got married, what did they tell you? Have children. So you had children. Now once you have children, what did they tell you? Some of you are still in that stage, so you haven't heard it yet. After children, then grandchildren. So then you have grandchildren. That's not in your hands, luckily. But we are living life and we are doing all these things without really understanding why we're doing them and what it actually is that we are seeking in life. So the first thing for us to understand is, what do I want from life? Life has so much to offer us. There is so much that this world can give us. But what is it that we want? This is the first thing for us to understand. Once we have understood that, then through our self-effort, we lift ourselves to achieve that goal. So the first thing is, lift yourself through your self-effort. And through that self-effort, what kind of self-effort are we putting forth? The type where we are our own best friend. What happens when we have a goal in mind, when we have something to achieve? Have you ever worked for something in life, and during that time you have not faced any challenges whatsoever? Has anyone ever experienced that? Have you ever worked for something, and during that time you have not faced any challenges? There are always challenges in life. The key thing is that can we face them with a positive attitude, with a positive mindset. How when we're going through something difficult, how our friends encourage us, right? When challenges come, a true friend will be encouraging. A friend will not tell you, yeah, actually, you know, this is too difficult for you. You should give up. I don't know why you even started in the first place. Friends will not say such a thing. Friends will say, keep trying. Keep going. You have the ability, you have the capacity. This is just one hurdle in the road. So the simplest way to understand this is, when we are striving in life, keep a positive attitude. And at the same time, let us not bring ourselves down. How do we bring ourselves down? We bring ourselves down through our own thought. And the simplest way of recognizing this is to count. This is an experiment that everybody should do. How many times during one day, during the course of 24 hours, how many times do you say the words, I can't? Tomorrow, everybody should try it. Just count. How many times do you say the words, I can't? What is that? When we are limiting ourselves, when we are putting boundaries on what is possible for us to achieve, that is what Sri Krishna is talking about as being our own enemy. So his advice is so simple. It's common sense. But what he tells us is, number one, have a goal. Number two, work for it. And through your efforts, lift yourself. Be positive in your efforts. Do your best. Now the trouble is that not all of us know what we want in life. Not all of us have a goal or a purpose that we are striving for. We are just working to meet the next deadline. We are working for the next paycheck. We are working just from day to day, week to week, month to month. We don't necessarily have a goal in mind. So if that's the case, then how should we live? Sri Krishna says it's actually very simple. All we need to do is focus on the work at hand. What is the work at hand? Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. If you don't know what you should be doing in life, very simple. Just focus on the work that is in front of you. What is the work that is in front of us? It is, very simply put, our duty. Now, you know, when we hear this word duty, we feel a sense of burden. Duty means something that I have to take very seriously. It is something that is responsibility that is placed upon me. But here, the word karma, what it means is that all of us in our life, we occupy different roles, right? What are the different roles that we occupy? Father, mother, friend, daughter, son, sibling, colleague, boss. We all occupy different roles in life. And according to those different roles, we have certain responsibilities. So in order to fulfill the role of being the child of my parent, there are certain things which are required of me. in order to fulfill the role of being a parent to my child, there are certain things that are required of me. In order to be a good sister or a brother, in order to be a good friend, certain things are required. And so all he's saying here is, recognize what your roles are, and according to that, you can fulfill your responsibilities. Now, for most of us, our time is spent not in our duties and responsibilities, at least mentally. Even if we're spending our physical time in work and then taking care of things at home, most of the time, mentally, we are thinking about not what we have to do and not the responsibilities that we ought to fulfill. We are thinking about what we want to enjoy. Right? So right now the winter break has just gotten over. And so now is a stretch where most people will just be working for some time. But now as you're working for these next few months, for so many people, what's in the mind? When is my next holiday? So we plan for the next holiday. When will the next holiday be now? Maybe Easter time, right? So from January 1st, what do we start planning? Easter weekend. Where will I be? How will I spend it? What all activities I will do? Where will I go? Who will I go with? And so we work, but always in our mind is, what will I enjoy? Then you get to Easter weekend, and then you have your holiday, and then holiday is over, and most of the time by the end of the holiday you're more tired than you were at the beginning. So you need another holiday to recover from your holiday. Easter weekend is over. Now again you start working. And then again, what's the next question? When is my next holiday? So now you're thinking about summer. When Monday morning comes, most of us, what are we thinking about? Friday night, correct? Monday morning, or at least by Monday evening, you're already thinking about the weekend. So as much as we have work to do, as much as we have responsibilities to fulfill, our mind is constantly going into all these different areas of, actually, I'd much rather be here or doing this or going on holiday, enjoying this, enjoying that. And it's not wrong to enjoy. Nowhere in our culture, in our tradition, does it tell us that it is wrong to enjoy ourselves. That's why we have all these festivals. Because the point of life is to be happy. But if we can't be happy in the moment where we are performing our actions, and if we keep postponing our happiness, that, okay, while I'm at work, I can't be happy, but I'll postpone my happiness to my holiday. If we keep postponing our happiness, that happiness will always be 2 steps in front. I will never quite catch up to it. And so what Sri Krishna says is, if you can learn to be happy and be focused here and now, you have unlocked the secret to peace and happiness in your life. Instead of postponing, I will be happy on Friday evening. I will be happy in my next vacation. I will be happy when my children have left home. Or I will be happy when my children come home, whichever way. Instead of postponing, there is a way to learn to be happy here and now. And in the words of our Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji, very simply what he says is, learn to keep your mind. Learn to bring your mind to where your hands are working. It's as simple as that. Even whilst we are sitting here, we're sitting and we're listening, but how many of our minds are off somewhere else? If you've been at the mandir since morning, Then you're thinking about, oh, now when I have to go home, then I have to do X, Y, Z. Once we had arranged a big Samashti puja in one place. And everybody was taking part. And then at the main altar, we had our yajamans. Right? So they have to sit for the whole puja. And whole puja means the whole function will be some 3-4 hours. Everybody else can sit down and get up. They have to be there the whole time. So this puja just started in the first 5 minutes. And suddenly, this lady who is sitting at the main altar, she's looking around and she's looking a bit frantic. And she calls a volunteer. And so the volunteer goes and she whispers something. And very quickly, as soon as she's finished whispering, this volunteer runs out of the hall. Returns a few minutes later and goes back to that lady, tells her something, and then puja continues. So everybody who's watching is very curious, what's happened? Later we found out that this lady sat down for puja, and as soon as she sat down, do you know what her thought was? I can't remember whether I switched off the gas at the kitchen stove. I need somebody to go check quickly. Because our mind is in so many different places at once. So what he says here is, if you can, learn to just keep your mind where your hands are working. You know how effortlessly we get absorbed in playing when we're younger. Nobody needs to tell us to focus, to concentrate. Nowadays, there is so much this about how children's attention spans have shortened and they can't, pay attention in class. But you send them outside and you tell them to play, they will focus for hours on end. If we enjoy what we're doing, we can focus for as long as we want. So the secret is that we can actually learn to enjoy. How do we do it? By just keeping our mind where our hands are working. As simple as that. And at the same time, he says if you do that, then you won't be so worried all the time about, okay, when I finish this work, what will the result be? What will come? What's the next thing? If I'm in the present, I'm peaceful. Now, sometimes it's difficult for us to think about performing an action without keeping a result in mind. If you tell somebody that just do this work and don't expect any reward, then we don't feel like doing that work at all. So at the same time, there's a caution. He says, do not fall into inaction. Because, and this is something we have all experienced, that an idle mind is, this word devil also doesn't make sense actually in our tradition, but the phrase is there. Idle mind is devil's workshop. Means an idle mind will very easily be led astray. So if you don't have work, then make work for yourself. You know who's the best at doing this? Who is the best at creating work? Not necessarily for themselves, but for everybody around. Babies. Babies are the best. As soon as a baby comes in the house, you'll see everybody gets so busy. And that baby is nicely playing and lying there and very relaxed and enjoying. We should know how to keep ourselves busy. We should know how to keep others busy also. But the main thing here is keep engaged in your work. Now, whilst we're doing our work, what should we be thinking? Keep our mind where our hands are working, but with what attitude should we do it? He says, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Yat karoshi yadashnasi Yajjuhoshi dadasiyat Yattapasyasi kaunteya Tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you experience, whatever you offer, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerity you perform, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Shri Krishna says, Tat kurushva mad arpanam. Do it all as an offering unto me. In other words, whatever responsibilities we have in life, they are to be performed as an offering unto God, as an offering unto the totality. Now, why is Shri Krishna saying this? Why is he saying, do everything for me? The idea is, actually, it's very simple. When we perform our responsibilities and we do them with a sense of alertness, when we keep our mind in our actions, what will start to develop in us is a sense of gratitude. Because we will start to recognize that we have been given so many capabilities, we have been given so much capacity to achieve so much in life. Is there anything in your life which you have achieved so far for which you can take sole credit? Just think for a second. Anything at all. Is there anything that you have achieved or experienced for which you can say, I am the only person who is responsible for this achievement? Is there anything? Apart from our own confusions and delusions and misery, there is nothing in life for which we can take sole responsibility. Everything has been given to us from our ancestors, from society, our teachers, our parents, our well-wishers. We have been taught everything that we need to know. And when we start to recognize how much we have been given as a gift in life, from the very functioning of our body, when you were born, did you have to do anything for your senses to start functioning? Did you have to do anything for your eyes to start working? For your hands to start moving? For your stomach to start digesting food? It just happened. And yet we never stop to think that this has been made possible for me. That I have been given the know-how on how to use these faculties. When we perform our duty, then we start to develop this sense of gratitude that I have been given so much in life. And what is the natural result of gratitude? When you feel truly, sincerely, deeply grateful to someone, what is the natural response that will come from us? We will want to give something back. When we recognize how much we have received, and when we recognize how much we have been given, we will naturally want to offer something in return. And that is what Shri Krishna is saying. That having recognized all you have received as a gift in life, now, with that sense of gratitude, everything that you do can become an offering. And when we do something as an offering, that action becomes even more beautiful. You know, when children are very young, and it comes to, say, Mother's Day or Father's Day, what does that child do? If it's Mother's Day, then the child will go to father, right? And say, now we have to get something for mom. So the father will give maybe some money, and the child will go and buy something, and child will take from the father and give to mother. And when it's Father's Day, take from mother and give to father. And yet so proudly, with this sense of real accomplishment. Look, 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 look what I made for you. Look what I brought for you. Whatever that child is giving, where has it come from? It's come from the parents. And who is it being offered back to? To the parents. And knowing that this child is just offering back whatever I have given, still, how much joy do you feel when they give you something? How much joy do you feel when you receive a Father's Day or a Mother's Day present? Because it's being given with love. And it's being given with that sincerity. It's being given with that innocence. And so when we also offer everything that we do, whether it's to our family or it's to the community, to society, to the country, whether it's with a sense of gratitude to our teachers or our ancestors, to whomever that gratitude is directed, when the action is performed with gratitude, that action becomes beautiful. And that effect then spreads throughout society. Now at this point, sometimes a worry arises in the mind that if I'm acting with this sense of gratitude and I'm focusing my whole life on giving back to society, on giving back to my parents, on giving back to my family, then who will take care of me? We have this worry or not? If I have to give, even when it comes to something as simple as offering a donation, what is it that holds us back? Why do we hesitate? Because we think, if I give, will I get? And so, Sri Krishna says, don't worry. If you give, and if you live with this gratitude, and if you live serving society, you will always be taken care of. Ananyas chintayantu mam, ye janah paryupasate, tesham nityabhiyuktanam, yogakshemam vahamyaham. He says, for those who think of me with single-pointed focus, ananyas chintayantaha, mam, who think of me, ye janaha paryupasate, those people who live in worship of me, tesham, for them, nitya abhiyuktanam, who are ever engaged, ever united with me, yogakshemam vahamyaham, I carry and I deliver their yoga and their kshema. Yoga here means whatever it is in life that we want to acquire. And kshema means whatever it is in life that we want to preserve and protect and maintain. And if you think about it, this is what all of us spend our whole lives occupied in. Acquisition and maintenance. This is what we're doing, our whole lives. What Sri Krishna is saying is, when we live a life of service and gratitude, when we live a life of dedication to the totality, are we or are we not part of the totality? When I say I'm serving the community, am I also not served in that service? When we live a life of dedication and service, we are also taken care of. And this is his personal guarantee. Whose guarantee? Sri Krishna's guarantee. Sri Krishna as the one who is presiding over the entire universe. This is not the guarantee of someone whose word is questionable. This is the guarantee of the one who is looking after every single being, every single creature, every single object in this entire universe. He says, I will take care. All we have to do is live in that spirit of gratitude and service. Now still, even after hearing all of this, still we have a question, because our minds are just like that. So many beautiful things are said, so many assurances are given, and still we have this resistance and we have this question. Why? Why should I do this? So another question for us to think about is, what do you want in life? What do you want in life? If somebody asked you, what is the one thing that you want in life? What do you want? Do you know? What do you want? Peace, happiness, success, purpose, freedom, security. Now, if you ever have this question, why should I live like this? Why should I live the Gita way of life as recommended by Shri Krishna? The reason is, if we do it, all of these things, they will come to us. We won't have to chase them. Peace, happiness, security, success, fulfillment, purpose, all of these things will be achieved just by following this very simple advice. And this is the last thing that Shri Krishna says. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Sarva dharman parityajya, having given up all dharmas. Now here there is a big caution, okay? Because if somebody says give up dharma, this sounds very contradictory. This is not what we want. What he means here is, give up all the false notions you have of who you are. Give up all, very, very simply, what he means is, give up all your limitations. The same thing that was said at the beginning, lift yourself by yourself. Here he says, if you do that, then the result is, I will free you of all papa. I will free you of all sorrow, and thereby your grief will come to an end. So giving up all limitations. And the simplest way, how did we start? What do we have to count tomorrow? What are we counting? How many times do you say the word? I can't. When we get rid of those words, when we get rid of all sense of limitation, when we get rid of all boundaries that we ourselves have placed on ourselves, and when we live a life of complete surrender and dedication in service to a higher ideal, in service to society, when we live like this, then he says, and this is again his assurance, we will be freed of all sorrow, we will be freed of all grief. All we have to do is try. The problem with us is, and with us I mean just by problem with human beings. It's not a particular problem. It's not a special problem. The problem with us is before we even try something, we've already thought of 100 reasons why I can't. If we just try, if we just start, we will see the truth of what is being said here. All we have to do is take the first step. And Sri Krishna says, I will do the rest. I will free you from all your sorrow. I will free you from all your grief. There is a very famous saying. The saint says that when you have taken one step towards God, know that He has taken 10 steps towards you. Don't ever feel that your effort is not being reciprocated. Don't ever feel that the grace and blessings of the totality of divinity is not on you. All we have to do is recognize that it is ever present in our life. So, invoking Ganeshji's blessings, invoking the blessings of our gurus, our teachers, may we all learn to live this Gita way of life and flourish, not only individually, but as a society, as a country, this entire world. May we be benefited by the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. We'll pause here, and there are some announcements, so please stay seated for a couple of minutes. We'll just do a closing prayer, and then the announcements will take place. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Anandena jatani jivanti, Anandam vayanti visambishantiti, Sheshabhahargya vivaruni vidya, Parame vyoman pratisthita, Yayevam veda pratitishthati. Mahan bhavati prajaya pashubhir brahmavarchasena Mahan itya Mahaganapatehe paripurna anugraha prasadena asyaha yajamanayaha manaschintita sarvakarya jayakaratva praptihi आयुरारोग्य ऐश्वर्याणाम अभिवृद्धि सिद्धिरस्तु इष्टार्थ सिद्धिरस्तु क्षेममेवावरुन्धे.
I happily thank Sri Brahmacharini Shripriyaji Chaitanya for spending your valuable time on behalf of the Ganapathy Temple, for spending your valuable time and sharing some thoughtful insights with all of us today. All the slokas from the Gita were clearly explained so that it was very easy for everyone to understand and inculcate the same in their day-to-day life. So I hope everyone present here has gained some knowledge from your kind words. Thank you once again for being here.
Namaste, Hari Om, Pranam Shripriyaji. 2026 is a momentous year for Chinmaya Mission. 75 years, where Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda for 40 years travelled the world, taught, opened many hospitals, schools, ashrams. The work has continued after Pujya Swamiji, and today we have 350 centres worldwide, 250 Swamis and Brahmacharis that are solely dedicated to teaching this knowledge of Advaita Vedanta to transform our lives. Chinmaya Mission has decided to hold a yatra, a tour across UK and Europe, holding 75 events, either on the Bhagavad Gita or the Hanuman Chalisa, to uncode the secrets within both to help benefit all. In 1951, Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda gave his first talk at a Ghanapathy Temple in Pune. And when we decided to do this talk, this yatra, we approached the Ghanapathy Temple and Maheshji to ask if we could have the first talk here to receive the blessings of Shree Ghanapathy Ganpati Maharaj, and also to follow in the footsteps of Pujya Gurudev. We are truly grateful, Maheshji, to the Ghanapathy Temple, to the trustees of the Ghanapathy Temple, and the Sai Temple as well, for allowing us to have the first talk. As a small token of our appreciation, Maheshji, please, on behalf of the Mandir and the trustees, accept a small token of our appreciation. There are just a few more announcements that I'll make. Throughout the year, as we have the 75 events on the Hanuman Chalisa and the Gita, in September, we will have some flagship events. The first being a 2-day talk by Pujya Swami Swarupananda, Global Head of Chinmaya Mission, on the glory of Hanuman, where he will unpack the secrets within the Hanuman Chalisa. Followed by the talks, there will be a Hanuman Chalisa Havan. Today, we've had a beautiful Havan throughout the morning. This will be 108 Havan Kund Havan, reciting 21 Hanuman Chalisas and offering oblations to the sacred fire for peace and prosperity for all. As well as the talks and the Havan, Chinmaya Mission has decided to bring together all sanstas, all organizations, and come together at the Thames to perform a Ganga Aarti. A way to show our unification, a way to show how our culture and how inclusive we are. All details of these will be shared in due course. However, we've come today, and I asked one of our sevaks to count how many people there were in the hall. And I'm pleased to say that we have about 75 people. And so that matches the number of years that we are celebrating as well. But we are truly grateful to each of you for coming today. But coming here once is not enough. And Maheshji, if you will allow us, Chinmaya Mission this year is offering online courses on Introduction to Hinduism and Introduction to Vedanta. This is to allow all of our youngsters to be able to connect with this knowledge, to be able to understand what are the essence within what we are practicing, what we are seeing at home. Let's move forward with understanding and knowledge. These courses will be 6-week courses and run throughout the year. The Gita Panchamat, as Brahmacharini Shripriyaji has so beautifully explained, will be provided to you in a form of a prasad pustika, so please make sure you collect those as you go out, and some sevaks will hand those out. And finally, please stay in touch. We'll leave this slide on. Please connect with us. The information of our yatra, our 75 events, will all be online, and you can find those through these QR codes. And if you can join our WhatsApp groups, we'll be able to share further information on events that Chinmaya Mission will be holding this year. We look forward to seeing you again. We look forward to seeing you on our yatra. Thank you very much. Hari Om.